to today's presentation, Building Your Personal Brand, Defining the Right Mix of Your Professional and Personal Voice. We're going to dive right in, talking about the training objectives. We're going to be exploring your personal brand and why it matters. I'm going to tell you my story and how I transitioned from an expert to an influencer. We're also going to discuss 3 keys to becoming an influencer and thought leader. How to balance your personal brand with professional branding. You're going to receive your social media branding checklist and learn what your networking super strength is. All right, so let's dive right in. I want to talk to you a little bit about myself with 10 years experience in marketing and branding. My name is Rebecca Chalson. I'm a personal branding strategist, and I am the creator of the ACE marketing strategy, which helps entrepreneurs attract, connect, and engage their target audience so that they can gain more referrals. I'm also the founder of CreateYourPotential.com. All right, so enough about me. Let's start talking about you, because that is why we're here today. Personal branding explained. So when you think about your personal brand, I want you to really think about this statement, okay? Your business or service is what you do, but your personal brand is how you show the world what you do. And we'll be talking about that in a little more detail. So what does your personal brand communicate? And I like to divide it between 2 categories. You have your intangibles and you have the tangibles. And what I mean by that, your intangibles are your personality, experiences, your intellect, values, skill set. And then your tangibles are the colors, the logo, a website, a blog, a podcast that you may have. And, you know, when I've worked with different people and talking about their personal brand, I like to use the analogy of a brick wall, very similar to what you see in this slide here. And layer upon layer is what your personal brand does and how you represent yourself to the world. There's different colors and shapes to it. Very often I have people come to me who says, Becca, my brand just feels like a pile of bricks. I wouldn't even know where to start. How do I present myself online? How do I connect with people in a way where they see the unique qualities that I bring to the table? Well, don't you worry. We're gonna get of how we can do that in a very practical way, okay? So one of the things that I offer is the Discover Your Personal Brand workbook, and that really helps you go through the questions and dialing down what your personal brand is in your unique value proposition. So what is your personal brand, your core strengths? I talked a little bit about that. What motivates you, your values, your passion, maybe a pain that you went through in your life that had a big part to do with your why story and how you connect with people. The other thing you want to think about is what you want to accomplish, what you want to accomplish both personally and professionally. What do you want to be known for? What's a niche topic that you can present to people in an effective way? So we're going to go ahead and talk about that a little bit more. And like I said, I'll give you an opportunity if you want to grab your own Discover Your Personal Brand workbook, you will be able to have the opportunity to do that at the end as well. So why does your brand matter? Let's go ahead and talk about that. Your brand matters because it's your brand personality. It's the style with which you deliver your promise. It's your style. It's how you connect with your target audience. You see the heart here to the side. Your brand promise fills their need and reflects your passion to your target audience. And your target audience are the ones that have the need, that embrace what you have to offer in your brand and your unique value add to them. And your brand also acts as a shield with competition. It allows you to position yourself as #1 in comparison to your peers. So I want to talk to you a little bit about my journey with personal branding and how I was able to transition from an expert to an influencer. So from an expert to an influencer, why was I passionate about personal branding? Well, the one constant in life is change. The one constant in life is change. But no matter where you go, you take your personal brand with you. And that was something I learned when I became one of nationwide layoffs. I had moved to an area, did not know many people, and here I was needing to network and find out how to get my next opportunity. So I started going to all these different networking groups. I started positioning myself online on social media in a more professional way. I got a professional headshot, and I started connecting with people at these different events. And one of the things I recognized is how scattered networking can be. However, when I was able to think through the different aspects of branding, I realized that there can be a system. There can be practical steps I can take to deliver my message and value add to people more effectively. So I actually started creating events that I called Full Circle Networking. It was my signature event. And on a Monday night, I had about 200 people come out with 22 different networking organizations, and it was the opportunity for people to find out when, where, and how to network effectively. And I started creating webinars on personal branding and networking, speaking engagements. I created a podcast to help people tell their why story and why they're passionate about what they do. And then eventually I also became an author and telling my big why story. But the main thing I want to point out here is the layers that I personally went through. So I know the steps to take, and it can really be a process. But at the end of the day, it's about how you think bigger. It's not just about what you do, it's about who you are and how you present what you do. Research has shown that 85% of jobs are obtained through networking. Such a point to remember as you are working as an employee or as a contractor. You never know who you might interact with that could be the connection to your next big promotion or your next big, opportunity. So authenticity is key. If you're your authentic self, you have no competition. People crave authenticity. They crave seeing personal brands. Showing the person behind a product or company gives a sense of humanity and genuineness. But there needs to be a balance to this, and this is what we're going to be talking about later in the presentation. So what are the ways that you can become an influencer? Like I mentioned, there's a number of layers to it, and you can see this slide here. If you want to take a screenshot, feel free to do it. I'm not going to be going in detail with each and every one. I'll highlight a few that might pertain to you as a contractor or, as a manager. Creating a signature talk can be a great way to position yourself as an authority on a topic. Creating a podcast, if there are influencers or people that could really help you up-level your career, if you want to get in front of those people, creating a podcast is a great way to do it because you're adding value to them, which also then adds value to your personal brand. When you're able to position yourself with other influencers, it is able to take your brand to another level as well. And the other thing to think about is how you support causes in the community. Showing yourself as a supporter is a great way to stand out. We know when you take pictures or you share it online, that's part of your personal brand because you're showing that you have empathy. You're showing that you can be a connector. So these are all layers of how to become an influencer and how I help people individually depending on what their goals are. But you know what? I just throw a lot of bricks at you, a lot of different layers to personal branding. And what I want to do is go ahead and simplify the process, okay? So I like to use this analogy, and I'm going to show you here. I've got, I don't know if any of you like to play poker or cards. I have here a pile of cards. And this is a lot like personal branding. You may be an ace. You may be an expert in your field. But if you are not showing up as a personal brand, you're not showing up effectively online, you're getting lost in the shuffle. Nobody's going to know that you're an ace. So when you're looking for that promotion or that next job, or you really want to up-level your career, you might be getting lost in the shuffle. Imagine if you were able to distinguish yourself as an ace in your field, right? And really rise above the shuffle and the noise of the crowded marketplace. So I use this analogy to show this is what happens when you don't have a personal brand. And I use the acronym ACE, ACE for the ACE strategy, and it stands for the following: attract your target audience, connect with potential clients, engage more followers. These are 3 steps to establishing yourself as an influencer. And how do you go into this? Well, let's go ahead and talk about it in a little more detail. So how can you build your personal brand? So let's talk a little bit about the attraction piece. Know who you are and what makes you unique. We talked a little bit about that Discover Your Personal Brand workbook and the questions around that. How do you get through the layers of what unique insights that you have to offer? Then the other thing to think about is how you brand yourself even in the little things, okay? Consider using a personal logo. I'll show you a little later what different logos can look like. But if you're wanting to represent yourself as a personal brand, you could even have a domain. You buy at GoDaddy.com, that's your first and last name.com, and your logo could be a beautiful script of your name, and that's your signature logo. Imagine how that could help you stand out in the industry. So, and these are all things that I help my clients do in creating logos and ways they can really make their brand stand out as that ace in the marketplace. So consider how you can also include a logo in your email. In the email signature, you could include that signature logo, like I mentioned. You can include a motivational quote that you may have, or something that distinguishes you. One of the things that I came up with for myself is Brand Builder Becca. I like to use that in how I interact with people and on my business cards. And there might be a phrase that you could coin for yourself, something to think about. So let's go ahead and go into the next piece, the connection piece. You want to be visible and be active. Create an influencer marketing, maybe a website or a blog. I mentioned a podcast. Now, let's talk a little bit about a blog. There are a number of different avenues you can go with this. One of the things I help clients do is if you want to create that domain and a landing page or a website that has your blog, and it can also incorporate, examples of people that you've worked with. It can be that visual resume. And the blog, the great thing about that is you have links, the URLs that are attached, and then you can share that on social media. And again, it's all directing back to your personal brand. LinkedIn now has the ability for you to create blogs directly on there. You can also think about how you can create video blogs. Maybe you've heard of the term vlog. That's where you create videos. You could give a tip of the day. Maybe every Tuesday have a different tip that you talk about that's unique to your field and maybe the target audience that you want to attract. Something to think about and how you're connecting with your target audience. You want to create effective social media profiles and be consistent, continually putting yourself out there. There's also the opportunity to join online communities on LinkedIn, Facebook. Maybe you've heard of meetup.com and Eventbrite. Check those out as well. So let's go ahead and go into the third aspect of how you engage. Engage with social influencers. I mentioned creating a podcast, so I'm not going to go a whole lot into that now. Live streaming, video marketing, when you go live on Facebook or LinkedIn, you're able to engage with your audience and give shout outs to people who are viewing live. It's a great way to ramp up your algorithms on social media, because whenever people are engaging with you, then anything that you're posting or highlighting is going to get that much more, people are going to see it that much more. It's going to rise to the top of the deck like the ace, right? So Consider how you're growing your social influence by becoming a thought leader in your niche so that people want to come to you for advice or entertainment. I've seen influencers online who may, kind of tie in some little funny quirks about their jobs or experiences they've had that of course is acceptable. You want to do it in reason, but it's a great way to brand yourself in a unique way that grabs attention as well. Some things to think about. So I like to call these influencer brand builders when you're thinking about becoming a thought leader. It's good to have a logo or a landing page, a website, and a lead magnet. And now you all are in marketing, so perhaps you've heard of a lead magnet before, but essentially a lead magnet is an exchange of value for you are giving value in exchange for somebody's contact information. This is something to think about because we don't own our databases on social media. Facebook owns it, LinkedIn, right? If you want to own your own connections, your own database, that's when it's really helpful to have a lead magnet on a website or a blog so that people subscribe to stay in the loop with you. And that really is a way to distinguish yourself from the competition. And we can talk about strategy around that and how that could be unique for you later if you would like to do that. Email marketing, blogging, social media, events and webinars. Creating an effective webinar online could be a great way for you to stand out as a thought leader. I help people with setting up the technology as well as the marketing with that resource. So let's go ahead and I want to give you some samples of what logos, websites, podcasts can look like. These are all samples by my team. Like I mentioned, we're also a digital marketing agency, so we can help with a strategy as well as the design of your personal brand. But the main thing I want to point out here is when you are thinking about personal branding, you aren't just inviting people to check out how cool your website is or your blog. You're inviting people into an experience of your brand, an experience of what it's like to work with you. So the colors, the technology around how you invite people into that experience is key to presenting that professional image of what it's like to, actually experience working with you. Here's the other thing that's especially important to keep in mind is your social media presence. Your profile really says a lot because when people are considering working with you, they don't just look at your resume now, right? They actually ask for your Facebook, your LinkedIn URL. They want to research how you interact and connect with people because that really is part of your brand and how you're going to interact with a team. So I want you to pay attention to these 3 keys when it comes to setting up your profile to be effective with making an impact. You want to make sure you have a professional image and a headshot with that view that shows right above your name. So important to have a professional image. I've seen pictures of people with their cats or on a porch and just very casual or selfies. That professional image is what's going to give the presentation that you can support people in a more impactful way. You want to have a catchy headliner. You can see mine here. We're a best-selling author, keynote speaker, personal branding strategist, offering website design, social media marketing to the point. You can also use these really cool little icons to differentiate because then when people tag you online, it makes it pop that much more. So that's something to think about as well. And you also want to have a spotlight banner. For you, when you're working for a company, they may want you to use a lot of their branding, but imagine also if you had a banner that had your favorite quote. If you were to connect with me on social media, you'll see a book that I recently published called Women Who Rise. I co-authored. That could be part of your banner. Some experience or recognition that you've gained could be part of that banner. And that's one of the things that I work with when I help with the strategy is how can you spotlight yourself most effectively on that banner. Now, there are a number of other key characteristics you want to look for when it comes to setting up your social media for success. So what I've done is you have access to a social media profile checklist to give you that boost you need. Go to createyourpotential.com/join, and you'll be able to go ahead and download that for your benefit as well. So make sure you do that as your activity at the end of this, all right? Now, the other thing I want to briefly talk about is understanding how you naturally create connections can empower you to make more intentional and strategic decisions regarding how you network, okay? You know, I mentioned earlier in the presentation, 85% of jobs are obtained through networking, and knowing how you naturally connect can be a great way to know, first, what is in my comfort zone, and then what also can I improve on. So I've created this fun personality quiz. It's not a DISC assessment by any means, but it's a great way to start thinking about what your super strength is and maybe some key strength words that you can use when you communicate your brand, whether it's on a resume or on your social media profiles. And I've distinguished these networking personalities as fortifier, connector, visionista, illuminator, seize the day, resilier, and magnetor. So go ahead and take that quiz. The link is right there. Make sure you use the password networker, all lowercase, N as in nickel, ETWORKER, networker. And that's going to be your password. And I hope you have fun taking that quiz. All right, so now to the grand question, how to balance between your personal brand and professional brand. So remember what I mentioned before, your business or service is what you do. However, your personal brand is how you show the world what you do. But you know, sometimes it's tricky to know, how do we balance both? How do we represent ourselves in a way that's not too personal or too corporate? And what I've done is I've come up with 3 E's of social media sharing to help you do this effectively: expertise, experiences, and encouragement. And I want to show you what that looks like in some posts that I've done previously myself. Some posting ideas for you on expertise. So you can see where I've shared some blog posts that I've done on 7 tips to network more effectively and how to distinguish yourself as an influencer in the area. I've also taken pictures of presenting for virtual webinars, as you can see to the far end of that screen as well. In fact, I want to give you guys an assignment right now. This is a workshop, so what I want you to do is take a picture of you actually participating in this training. You can go ahead and, similar to the picture that I'm showing right there, and it's a great way to distinguish yourself. In the post, you could say something like, always on the lookout for great trainings to maintain a professional image in marketing, and take a picture of you taking the training today and post it on Facebook, LinkedIn, in your stories. Again, it's all about positioning yourself as the go-to expert so people learn to trust and like you. Posting ideas based on your experiences. One of the things that I talked about recently was when I came out with my published book, actually at the beginning of COVID, when we all were in quarantine lockdown, I came out with Women Who Rise as a co-author and telling my big why story about why I'm passionate about personal branding. Posted a video about my experience as an author and what it was like being vulnerable about my story and how I was able to transition from an expert to an influencer. You know, and I even, in here in my experiences, I take a picture of what it looks like when I plan on a weekly basis with my calendar, and I'm actually sitting by the poolside in the summer and taking a picture of that. Shows my organization side, which is a part of my personal branding. So again, think about the key words that distinguish yourself and maybe pictures and experiences that can express that part of who you are. I have a picture here of going to a Phillies game that shows the fun and engaging side. Picture of my dog. Here's something to think about. If you have pets or kids, feel free to include them in pictures. People want to know the human side of you. Posting ideas and encouragement. This is key. This is how you connect with people in a way that they can really get value. Smiling with my eyes behind my mask. I say you want to get to know people behind the name tag. Well, now it's getting to know people behind the mask during COVID-19. And this is just a kind of a funny way to connect with people in a personal way. Posting engaging conversation topics. It could have to do with your industry. It could have to do with something that makes people smile in a professional way. Okay, these are 3 things you want to avoid posting on social media. Avoid posting offensive language or images, controversial topics, which could, be political or something of that nature. And avoid posting anything negative, either about competitors or about your experiences. You don't want to talk bad about past jobs or managers. And I'm sure you know this, but sometimes we forget because it's easy to lose that balance of personal and professional branding when we're connecting with people. So one thing I want you to remember about this is your vibe attracts your tribe. So if you want to attract more positivity and positive outcomes in your life, you need to represent yourself in a positive way, both online and offline. So the number 1 key to be effective is consistency. Be consistent on social media, and you need to have a plan, both on social media and be consistent with how you interact with people offline. If you're not sure about where to start and being consistent, my workbook, Empower Your Personal Brand, is a step-by-step guide to becoming an influencer, and I'll give you the opportunity to see how you can get that at the end. So here we're going to wrap up. I hope these tips have been helpful. It really is a condensed version of a lot of the topics I speak on, but I'm hoping that this was, effective for you today in helping take your professional success to the next level. So how can you create your potential with me? If any of these brand builders really popped out to you as something that could be effective, I want to invite you to connect with me. I design not just website and logos, but systems for lead generation. When I talk about website, it's not just about companies, because I'm sure all of you are familiar with that. It's also about the strategy of how to present you as a person online. Maybe you want to spotlight a blog or, like I said, your podcast. You could have a landing page or website around that, and I help with the strategy as well as the implementation and design of that. The other thing that I work with is helping people on these different layers of training, discovering your brand's unique value proposition, email marketing and campaigning, social media strategy, that lead magnet we discussed, as well as how to create an event or webinar, as well as a podcast, a strategy, design, and setup of that. I can support you with all those as well. So where can you get started in connecting with me? Go join my community, go to my website, createyourpotential.com, click that join my community button. You'll be connected to my social media community as well as be in a loop with all my blogs and videos as well. So what's next? I want you to think about how would you describe your personal brand, how you see yourself, how others see you, and in the middle is your personal brand. So I want you to take a moment and on a piece of paper, write 5 words that would describe your personal brand, 5 core strengths. Now, some people have difficulty with this. Sometimes we have mental blocks. So another way of looking at this assignment is if I were to ask a close friend or a colleague of yours to describe you in 5 words, what would those 5 words be? So go ahead, take time to do that, and then feel free to schedule a connection call with me and we can discuss those 5 words and maybe what strategies would be helpful for you to stand out online. We could do a social media audit together, design banners, as well as come up with a strategy for maybe a podcast or a webinar, whatever it may be. I invite you to schedule that free connection call. My link is attached there to schedule that complimentary. Now, let's say everything I've been saying has been resonating with you and you realize now is the time to show up online effectively. I read something the other day that research has shown that within 35 years, 50% of jobs could be replaced by all automated automated processes and machines. So now really is a time to set yourself apart from competition, distinguish yourself as a personal brand, and really create a bigger impact for yourself to take your business, your career, and your service offerings to the next level. And if you say, I'm ready, I know I need to do this, I want to give you the opportunity to actually text this number, 609-923-1301. Say, I'm ready, and we will start this conversation. And I'll put you at the head of the game in securing a slot if you're not able to find something on that calendar, okay? So feel free to connect with me today. You can also do that on social media. I have my social media links here. Feel free to take a screenshot if that is helpful to you. And I want to go ahead and end with this quote that is in my co-authored book, Women Who Rise. The only limitations are the ones we put on ourselves. We create our potential. All right, so I want to end with that. And remember, your business or service is what you do, but your personal brand is how you show the world what you do. Thank you again, and I look forward to being in contact.
Rebecca, thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Hey, Gainers. This is Luann. Rebecca, that was great insight. And I really encourage our Gainers. This is something that I know Stephanie Geiger has been talking about for a couple of years. And I really want you to take this to heart, what Rebecca taught us around really growing our personal brand. We are also focused in government marketing about building our products and our solutions for our company. But think about, as you're growing in your career, what you want to do, and really think about building your personal brand. I also encourage you to reach out to Rebecca. You can find all of her information under our resources. So, Rebecca, thank you so much for being with us today.
Of course.
Up next, Gainers, we are going to finish up Gain 2020 with the mixologist. We are having Josh Wolf in the house, and he has a special drink just for Gainers called Everything to Gain. So we are going to be meeting with Josh. He's going to be sharing the ingredients, and then at the end, Stephanie and I will come back, and we'll actually be drinking one of these drinks, Everything to Gain. I also want to just toss out a big thank you to ATARC. They are the sponsors of our mixologist today. And everybody enjoy this next segment, and we'll see you at the close of the day. Bye-bye.